So, what happens if USC's offense takes a step backwards in 2023?
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
On everyone, I'm your host, Mark Holton, and thanks again for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Whether you're watching on YouTube or wherever you like to download your podcast, we are free. And I always want to say thank you. I appreciate your support. If you haven't become a free subscriber yet, it's really easy. If you're watching on YouTube, just go ahead and click that subscribe button. If you like the episode, hit that thumbs up, and then don't forget, hit that notification bell. That way you'll be reminded to catch every one of Locked On USC's 5 episodes that come at you every day, every week. All right. So again, thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen every day. Look, the only way USC's offense with Caleb Williams playing quarterback falls flat on its face or takes a step backwards is if key injuries devastate the roster. That was real wood. Look, halfway through spring camp, the defense right now, so far, they're showing signs of improvement. So, more knocking on wood. Let's hope they continue to trend in that direction, showing signs of improvement. That's all we want, right? And offensively, I think things are a little bit more challenging this spring compared to last year at this time. And that's just not me. That's pretty much coming from the players and the coaches when you listen to them, what they say after practice. And there's no question there's more size, because of the more size that has arrived, either through the portal or, being grown naturally on USC's farm with a better nutrition program, strength and conditioning. Whatever's going on, they're following the plan, so it's working. So here's my question, though. Will Lincoln Riley and the staff have a reasonable idea of what to anticipate in the fall? And I'm talking specifically, I'm talking about the offense, but more specifically about the offensive line and the tight ends group. Hopefully, Cortland Ford, he'll be available to test out his hand, wrist that went under a surgical procedure in February. We're now at the end of March. Obviously, the sooner he can get out there and show what he's going to be able to contribute, I think that's going to help the left tackle position and give Riley and Coach Henson an idea of what they're working with. They have a pretty good idea, but again, if Cortland is anticipated to be one of to be the starting left tackle, I don't think you want to wait until PRPs in the summer and fall camp to solidify that idea. You'd like to see a little bit of that in the spring. Is it going to happen? What about the tight end group? I touched on this on yesterday's episode of Locked On USC. Is that the next phase for USC's offense to be complete? Riley admitted that after yesterday's practice on Tuesday, that he wasn't happy about the room, at least number wise. Let me just remind you what he said. Right now, today, no, not good. He said Lake McCree is playing at a really high level. And then as for newly converted tight end Carson Tabarachi, I don't think there's any question he's going to have the ability to make an impact. It's going to be good. It's just currently, right now, at this moment, not very good, depth-wise. Once again, you're watching Locked On USC, or you're listening to Locked On USC this morning, Thursday, the 30th. He can't mention Duce Robinson yet. However, at some time later today, if you are listening to Locked On USC, you're going to find out Duce Robinson is making his school choice. He's not waiting till April 1st. And then, Riley has mentioned that in the fall, Jude Wolfe will be available, as well as Cade Eldridge, the 2023 recruit. So the numbers will be up there where you want them come fall. But, there's enough wide receivers to play the next man up role. I mean, it's ridiculous how much talent's going on in that wide receiver room. But right now, today, spring camp, the O-line and the tight ends, and those numbers are small, smaller than they should be. Yes, Jude Wolfe, again, he's anticipated to be back in the fall. And I love the guy. I've been following him since he's been at Bosco. But he's had nothing but injury issues since he's been at USC. So at this point, let's just keep our fingers crossed, because it's going to be a young tight end room if Jude isn't available. Hopefully he will be. I love that wood today. And again, Eldridge, Duce Robinson, they're talented, but again, they're going to be freshmen. And yes, they'll have different roles. Duce is potentially going to be that next big wide receiver that USC fans have been accustomed to recently. Drake London, Michael Pittman. We'll see. Brendan Rice this year, maybe. Again, so there's not really any hulking tight end body currently on the roster right now available yet. So we'll see what happens. Transfer portal's out there. We know Malcolm Epps jumped into it. Oh, by the way, I'm not sure if this is accurate, but I'm hearing a rumor Oregon could be a destination. They sure do like picking up USC's, scraps. How do I put that nicely? And look, as far as the O-line, the longer it takes for those guys to come together, there's lots of new transfers that are in the room. If injuries do become a speed bump, that for that next man up role, I guess here, Justin Dietrich summarized it this way when he spoke to the media following Tuesday's practice. Quote, "It's definitely a transition. I've been with those other guys and calls and stuff." He's referring to the guys who have moved on. But it's a good thing that we have spring ball, getting to know each other, how each other works, and the calls. Just little minor details that we're working on right now, but grateful for these 15 practices, because we've improved already from 1 to 7 drastically, end quote. What Justin's saying right there is they need every minute of every hour of spring camp. Again, it's really fluid right now on the offensive line with guys trying to find their role, where they're going to be playing. And again, certain guys aren't available. Caleb Williams, the wide receivers, those guys are going to get most of the headlines. But Kiel McDonald's room, running backs, they're having a pretty good camp so far too. He said that room has been a real bright spot here in camp. Every day, those guys show up and they make some big plays. Well, that's actually what Lincoln Riley said about him. I'll tell you what Coach Kiel McDonald said about that group following spring camp number 7, practice day number 7, in the next segment. Because right off the bat, that room did not take a step back, and that's even with the loss of Travis Dye heading off to the NFL. Right now, you need to head on over to FanDuel, because it's heating up. March Madness, Final Four. It's the perfect time for you to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because as a new customer, you're going to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 back. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. So head on over to FanDuel. Just download the app. It's safe. It's secure. Super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to the point scores. Who's going to grab the most rebounds? Who's going to make the most three-pointers? The other thing you get to do at FanDuel, really cool feature, they even allow you to combine your bets. And that's going to give you a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So don't miss that chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/locked on. That's FanDuel.com/locked on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. So I'm not sure you're going to ever find another Travis Dye in the transfer portal. Really special young man. He was more than just USC's leading rusher with 885 yards through 8 games. He was the locker room leader. There were a few of those guys, locker room leaders, but Travis was the guy. He was going to be the one to tell you if you sucked. He was the one who's going to get in your face and tell you, you know what? You need to step up. You've got more inside of you. You're better than that. You can't find that's a hard intangible to replace. You can't coach that. That is either part of your DNA or it's not. You can try and imitate it, but you can't really recreate something like that. People can tell when you're being real. Austin Jones, Darwin Barlow, they returned. And Kiel McDonald recruited a couple of really nice freshman studs to compete with sophomore stud, Rayleigh Brown. So you got the freshman, Marion Peterson, and Quentin Joyner. And both he and Riley, they felt that they found a player who's going to have a similar impact with Travis Dye. On the field, I'm not talking about his locker room presence. I think they're different players in that regard. Quote, I just think that we saw a good player, a great opportunity, an explosive player, very versatile, great ball skills, can block, tough. I mean, he's got a chance to do some very, very special things here at USC. He truly does. I was running back coach Kiel McDonald talking about Marshawn Lloyd. If I didn't slip in the name Marshawn Lloyd, you go to swore he was talking about Travis Dye. So that's a good thing. When he was talking about the freshmen, Kiel said that they've had some busts in their assignments. It's going to be expected, like all young guys have. But overall, he's been pretty much pleased, with their production. Quote, I see explosive plays. I see physical plays out of the group. Those two young guys are going to be very good players here at USC. Now, I'm not saying history is starting to repeat itself when USC has too many good young running backs on the roster at the same time. Rich people problems when you have a CJ Gable, a Joe McKnight, an Alan Bradford, a Stephon Johnson et al. On your same roster. Yeah. Go check out USC's 2007 roster. Those are just a few of the running backs. USC's getting back to that. Again, rich man problems. You want that type of talent in your room, and you want that type of talent not to be afraid of competition as well. Now, the freshmen know that they're going to probably have to wait their turn. Unless, most freshmen understand that. Unless they're a Reggie Bush type of talent, because that kind of cream rises to the top pretty quickly. But when you have vets returning like Austin Jones and Darwin Barlow, and then you bring in a Marshawn Lloyd, now you can use your Rayleigh Brown, sophomore, who's still really young, and you could use his versatility in different ways, and you can lessen the load in that running back room. So again, you've got those vets back there: Barlow, Jones, Marshawn Lloyd. Now you can move Ray Leak around, use him in open space. And that's a problem for the opposition. This is what Riley said. We've definitely been able to do more of utilizing Brown this spring. He has a much better understanding, a base understanding of the entire offense and how that functions. And so we're using the spring to move him around some, to experiment some, and to get a full idea of what he truly can handle, end quote. Being uber talented as Ray Leak is seriously, it's only half the battle to becoming great. Last season, my biggest criticism of Ray Leak's abilities was him when he needed to get 3 or 4 yards, he would end up losing 3 or 4 yards because he was trying to gain 50 yards. Sometimes you just got to go get what's necessary, not what you want. So it was poor choices, poor decision making, freshman type of stuff. But Lincoln Riley, he understands the complexities of playing football and knowing how much film is involved and all the little nuances that are involved in expanding the playbook. So he said, you've got to get a lot of credit to some of these guys that do so much on Saturdays or on Sundays. Of those super versatile players in college and the NFL, everybody sees the skill set, but they don't realize mentally what it takes to play multiple positions and play them so well is so tough mentally. And that's why there's not that many guys that can do it, because the physical and the mental skills combined, that just doesn't exist very often. So, in other words, last year, Ray Leak's freshman year, they brought him along slowly, let him get a feel for the college game. Well, he got a taste. He understands it. They know he knows they expect him to take a step up in his development this year. So they're giving him more. And they're pushing him as hard as they can, as hard as possible. So far this spring, Riley said he's done a great job responding. He's learning, but also he has a natural athleticism and explosion that makes him a fit in a lot of places. So I guess we're going to find out together, hopefully when they have the spring game, April 15th, how they're utilizing Ray Leak Brown. I don't think they're going to show us too much. I want to keep as much of that under wraps as possible, so they can show the opposition during the regular season. But how does Coach Kiel McDonald plan to deal with his room of talented running backs? This is what he said: if you got 2 good guys, use them. If you've got 3 good guys, use them. We're going to put the best combination of guys on the field, whatever it takes to win. That's what we're going to do. That's what this program has been built on, competing. I think it's almost like a lost art. A lot of guys always hopping into the portal and then running. Just show up and do what you do. Play your best ball and you'll be fine. But at the end of the day, we're going to continue to recruit the best players in the country here to USC. This is USC. And that's just the nature of the beast, end quote. So, those final words encapsulate what it means to play football at USC. You might be good the year you're recruited. Someone is going to come along who might be your equal, if not better, soon thereafter. And at USC, that's the type of player they're looking to recruit. They want it to be as competitive as possible. So as far as I'm concerned, it's great to see the running back room getting back to USC standards. Just stocking up with talent, competition, and having your running back coach, head coach, whatever coach, telling the players to either step up or shut up. Or, there's the door. There's the transfer portal. All right. Segment 3, here we go. Locked on USC. Man, the time really flies by, and I can just ramble sometimes. I don't even realize it. So the team's going to be back at practice on Thursday later this afternoon. Again, you're making Locked on USC your first listen every day. Scheduled for 4 o'clock on Thursday, and hopefully the fields they're gonna have time to have dried out because it did rain on Wednesday, at least up until around noon. Then the sun came out. We'll see what it's like on Thursday. I'm recording this before then. But I've got a question for my viewers, for my listeners. Assuming Lincoln Riley has Duce Robinson wrapped up by the time the team heads out for practice, that's pretty much going to be a exclamation point on the 2023 recruiting class. Does that make it a success? I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, USC's ranking was outside the top 10. You know my feelings on this. But I'm going to play devil's advocate. Let's have the conversation. 2023. This is what USC recruited. I'm not talking about transfer portal. The number 1 quarterback, the number 1 wide receiver, and they got another good wide receiver that wasn't considered number 1, but pretty good in Mekhi Lemon. Number 1 linebacker. And then if they're able to add Duce Robinson as the top tight end, don't forget USC also added Walker Lyons in this class, but he'll be available in 2024 when he completes his mission. So that's the top end. USC also added 5 offensive line guys, recruited, I'm not talking about transfer. They recruited a couple of top rush ends in Braylon Shelby, David Peavy. Plus, they added a couple of, we'll call them under the radar guys for the defensive line. Sam Green, Elijah Hughes. Both of those cats are from the East Coast. So here's my questions. Where did USC miss in 2023 with their recruiting class? I know the rhetorical. I know the answer coming. It's rhetorical. Where are the elite offensive linemen? It's the hardest position to evaluate. And if you look who USC has recruited in the past recently, and who they're developing and who they're putting in the NFL, let's take a step back from that. Well, they didn't get the 4- and 5-star guy that so-and-so got. As long as USC wins, everything will be fine. So, where did USC miss in 2023? Tell me. Give me some feedback. You can let me know here. You could tweet it at me. You can go to wearesc.com, give me some feedback. Whatever. And is there really, how much of it, what is the difference between a USC top 10 recruiting class and a top 5? If they get Duce Robinson, wink, wink, they're getting Duce Robinson. What is their class ranking? Where would you rank them? Doesn't matter what I feel they are, because to me, those things are completely subjective. There's no objectivity to it whatsoever. Regardless of where they rank, when you combine their high school recruiting with the portal, everything combined in conjunction together, 2023, and remember, they're not done with the transfer portal yet. Who knows what's out? Who knows what is out there? It's going to be one of their better classes. And this is Lincoln Riley, year 2. First full recruiting cycle. Remember when he took over? He didn't have that whole time to get all of his ducks in a row. He was trying to get everything just gathered up in a bag so he could throw it out and try and put the puzzle together. I think he's got those corner pieces. He's got those locked in. If you've ever put a puzzle together, get those corners, get the borders, get the boundaries. Now work towards the middle. That's where we're at. Filling in the pieces. All right, we're at the end of this episode of Locked on USC. But again, thank you for making Locked On USC your first listen today. For your second listen, hey, go check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. They got everything you need to know from the experts, Isaac Shade, Andy Patton, and you can hear from other experts, coaches, insiders, players. Final Fours coming up this weekend, and then you get the final game on Monday next week. So there you go. You can find that on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. That's it for this episode of Locked On USC. I'll be back with another one because we come at you 5 times a week. Hey, when you're done listening and watching and getting all your podcasts, head on over to wearesc.com. Got a lot of big info coming up over there for you. And we've got a subscription special you might want to take advantage of. So until I see you back here on Locked On USC, you know what to do.